Hi everybody,
Hi.
and hi everybody, and today is our seventh podcast. My gosh, we're so excited, and today we've got a visual podcast. Well, it's scary, but Ailita going to join us as well for the next one, and she's happy to do so, which is wonderful.
No, this will be actually really good. I've been meaning to do this right from the start, but didn't have a chance because we'll not only be talking to you directly on camera, but I'll also be able to put up a lot of video and stills and things like that to illustrate some of the points that we've been making. Because I've really wanted to have visual references on screen, so at least we can do that. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Well, I think we're going to talk about creativity inspiration for kids. Over the years, I was observing Ailita's progression of Ailita's career, and what I'd like to say, if you, and how many times, because I heard it from so many successful people, this phrase, you really have to be dedicated, you have to be obsessed about what you do, you have to love beyond belief what you do.
But you have to apply yourself
Exactly.
consistently.
But you see, if you haven't got a fire in your heart, you haven't got it. Because I know,
But how do you know somebody hasn't put it out?
It's really interesting because
They've put out the fire.
Exactly, because I know, we've been through all our lives meeting so many incredibly talented, incredibly gifted people. It's just unbelievable, so much talent, and they still they're going around life. They still they're still not sure what they're going to do. They're getting a little bit depressed because they can't apply themselves. They do something for money. We know a few photographers, they do for money because they want to support the families. They want to support, just make sure to show they're successful. Well, usually they think,
Yeah, but that's called a day job.
I've got the money.
But so many
I'm
people have a day
successful,
job.
I've got
What's
a big
your answer?
house. I've got a flashy car, but they're miserable. And then I can see the progression was specifically one of the person who I saw before lockdown, and he's a wonderful, really great friend, but he's depressed. He's really depressed. He's really aggressive, and more times goes on, the more older he gets. My gosh, he's wealthy. He's got everything he wants, and he's got houses, he's got cars, he's got everything. But he's miserable, and more and more he's getting older. The more he gets depressed,
And time is running out.
time is running out. Nothing gets done. Big bank account, but depression sits in. But what actually I would love to tell, especially kids, how you always being told, look, you are too young to do this, or you are too young to do this, or you are too old to do this.
Well, you know what the question is? The question that adults ask young kids is, what are you going to do when you grow up?
This is such a wrong question. Never ask that, because this is you killing straight away what person wishes to.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't. Look, maybe you are killing it. But my point is, why is your question framed
When you
in the
grow up.
future? In the
When you
future,
grow
why
up.
not
What do you
ask
mean
them?
when
Why
you
not ask
grow
them? No
up?
matter how young they are, why not ask them? What are you doing now? Tell me something amazing and interesting that you're doing now.
But maybe just plant this little seed, thinking the kid, maybe 4 years old kid, thinking, oh wow, I'm actually capable.
Well, an adult,
Somebody approached me seriously,
an
saying,
adult's asking me.
what do you do?
Maybe I should think about it, or maybe I should be more serious about what I'm doing. Maybe those natural little things that I'm gravitating towards doing, maybe I should really concentrate on it.
Or maybe I should take it seriously.
Right, take it
and
more
they take
seriously.
kids seriously too, because they will
And the
think
adult should do that.
The adult is interested. They will maybe just pursue it.
Yeah.
But also, it's really interesting because, like I said about my friend, because you see, because I'm sure everybody, when they're kids, they've got this obsession. They've got something interesting they wanted to do want to achieve in their life. But then they go to school. School is
School will
is just
beat
foolish.
it out of you.
You've
That's the
got
problem.
so much stuff. You haven't got the time to think about yourself. You just bombarded from all different directions with a downloadable knowledge. If you put it you just downloading into your brain all this knowledge, and they're just thinking, okay.
Most of it which you won't use and is not relevant to your life
And you're so busy
and
with
your
that,
natural
you just
pursuits.
don't develop or don't think about what actually I want to do as a kid, what actually
Because you're
interests
not
me.
asked.
Because you're not asked, number one, and number two, you've been bombarded with all this stuff, which is going to be dated anyway. In a few years, how we progress, in my goodness, and it's really interesting because like we will constantly talk about education because you see it's so much education, so much democratized, if you want to say it. Is it, you've got a word like this, democratized?
Democratized.
Yes, this is what I was looking at, because you see like everybody can get a knowledge.
Yeah.
You just have
accessibility
of a knowledge,
yeah,
but you have to wish. You have to have a desire. You have to have obsession to get this knowledge. You must be obsessed. But you see, for example, like if you get all this clutter out, and if kid is obsessed about something, let them get this knowledge from the internet. Let them pursue what they want to do, and how amazing it's going to be. I think that because Alita went for about year or two, she went to school. And it was a very interesting for us to observe everything.
Alita went to 5 schools.
Oh yeah, so 5 schools.
We put her through 5 schools, and it just didn't work out.
The first one was Montessori because, and first time when they put, like I said it before, they put in front of Alita cutout of giraffe and said to her, look, you can color everything in.
You should explain to people. No, it was one of those outline
drawings of a giraffe
that you're meant to
color
in.
Everything
you're meant
in.
to fill it all in. Yeah.
And I looked at everything and I thought to myself, I don't think it's a good idea for developing brain. I just removed it from Montessori. I had a few other reasons I wasn't happy with, but I think you're not starting your life by filling in somebody's shapes. I don't think it's a great idea for the artist, because
I think
she was already had her 3 exhibitions, solo shows, and it just everything was contradicting with all Aelita's endeavors. Just was contradicting.
I think you've actually summed up the entire education system with that one illustration, because that's what it is. You're given the pre-structured container, and that you're just meant to paint by numbers, and as long as you put the correct color according to the correct number in the illustration, you'll get top marks.
And make sure that's what has really, really irritated me, because you have to make sure it's all your lines are neat and accurate. You don't go outside of forbidden boundaries. And I think for developing brain,
that is a metaphor for the entire education system right there.
But you see, for developing brain, I think it's so detrimental and so crucial. And it's really interesting because Alita was, I think it was a prep. Prep. She went to, I think she was 5. She already had many, many solo shows by then. And they
Well, let's just be clear. By the age of 5, she had working backwards, at 4, she had the solo show in the heart of New York.
In one of the prestigious galleries, and she was invited. It's not like... It's really interesting because by pursuing what Aelita loved, it's not like she has to fight for anything.
By pursuing what Aelita loved took her to the heart of New York.
Yes, but it's not like she has to fight for it. Because it's really interesting, because everybody think, I have to fight for this, I have to fight for that.
You did showcase her work, though.
I understand.
You were instrumental in it.
No.
Because you loved what you saw.
No, because you see, I was instrumental only by showing at the age of 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, at the age of 2, Aelita got her exhibition by because I showed her work to curator. But what I did, I didn't say her age, Aelita's age, to curator. And but it wouldn't have make any difference. I showcased Aelita's work, but I didn't mean to showcase her work. I just wanted to know the realistic, what actually a professional person thought about Aelita's work, because I came from a photographic background, video background, and also the digital art background too, because I'm an artist as well. I'm a digital artist and photographer.
Well, you just wanted to get the opinion.
Yes, because me and Michael, we looked at Aelita's work and thinking, wow, it's just something really incredible from this
Well,
tiny
we
tiny
loved
kid,
it,
because
but
she
we're the
start painting
parents.
from
We're
a
the
9
parents,
month
so
old,
of course
and I'm just
parents
remember
love it.
myself. I'm thinking, it just like for me, it was like incomprehensible that kid so young would do whatever she would do. Not because she was my daughter, because I was quite critical as well.
But how do you know that? It
But
could
you
be
see-
parental bias.
And
How do you know?
then I was constantly thinking about that, and I'm thinking that's really strange because, how this little kid can understand this square that she has to be within a
The
square
actual boundary of the canvas.
how she understands when to stop painting,
Right,
and how she
right.
like, because you see, like, few kids that came into our home and later on already, and they were just wanted to join Elite and the rest of it, and they ended up on the canvas, a big mush of brown mush, because they, first of all, they didn't felt the canvas, they didn't know how to stop. But then after that, I started to appreciate in Elite, because I'm thinking, well, maybe she's really something incredible, because we thought she was incredible. But I'm thinking, look, every parent think my child is the best, my child is incredible, my child is gifted, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm thinking, okay, because, we constantly work with composition. We constantly, we understand the color, we understand we understand everything. Maybe it just like came from us naturally to her at the age of months. It's 9 months. What is it?
9 months old. At the age of 9 months.
At the age of 9 months old.
Well,
Correct.
because that's when she started.
Yes, when she started. And then, I was so confused, and my husband was like thinking, because we thought, first of all, it was obviously accident, But then when she started producing more and more artwork and it demand more and more to paint, then we realized it's not an accident, she really driven to that.
Well, it could be just a flash in the pan, just a
Exactly.
one-off thing,
Exactly.
and she won't be interested to continue.
Because you see, kids that try constantly.
Yeah.
And what is really, really struck me as a concentration, because for the little kid, 1 minute concentration, they're on something else, 1 minute concentration on something else.
To be so young.
She would sit there and look at the artwork, and after she finished the artwork, she would kiss it as well. And then she would sit like this, like she was prying at this
I never saw it.
artwork.
Oh, we've got that on video.
Yeah, we will show.
I'll have to show it, actually.
And the kisses is always kisses to artwork. Kisses to artwork. It always was kisses. And it's really interesting because she would sit like this on her knees, and it just, I don't know, half an hour.
But was that what? No, really? That was intentional? I just thought that was just some pose that she struck.
No, she was just like sit and
because
look at the
because that's what
artwork.
it looked like to me. Wow.
Well, and I'm observing her, and I'm thinking
So
but
you're
I didn't have
creating your own
anybody to
shrine.
talk to.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to talk
But
to.
that's
I
the thing,
didn't
isn't
have
it? We're
anybody
totally
to
on our own.
ask
We're
any
completely on
questions.
our own.
I'm thinking this is my first child.
We had no one to consult with.
I had 2 nephews before, but it's not like I was intricately knew them constantly every day. But they were constantly in the kindergartens anyway. I don't think parents knew because they were busy working and they were a really young couple and the rest. But we had a little when we worked 20 years before we actually had a leader. We weren't desperate, for money, like young couple, they're getting married, they just thinking, oh my gosh, I need this, I need to rent it out, that I need some car, I need this and this, and we worked for 20 years before. For us, we could have actually concentrate on our child too. I think this is also why maybe
I think it's also having the perspective of older parents. I think you've just got a different outlook on things.
You've got your own challenges. For example, it's always better to have kids when you're young, but when you're a little bit older, it's just you've got their pluses and their minuses to have children, because you have to outline with thinking okay, if I'm older, I've got more time to spend with my child. If I'm younger, it would be too difficult. It would be too challenging to spend time with my child. You really have to balancing and thinking what you want to achieve with the child.
Sure,
you have to really prepare for this mentally. We won't prepare because we thought that we're never going to have children. We wasn't lucky like some people. They just have 5 kids, and my gosh, it's amazing. But we just it was one child with Aelita. And what I wanted to say, because with creativity, you will be able to stride away. Because when you're a little bit older, you've got a time with your child, and of course it's the best idea. I know how much people are struggling and how much money desperately they need the money to bring up the child. But it's best idea probably formative years, the 7 years, formative years with a child, you probably have to really make sure if you've got something to give to your child, just give it to them. Like observe what your child interested in, because you will see this passion, because we will talk about it, like for example, lost passion in adult, an incredibly gifted, incredibly sort of like a forceful, intelligent adult, but they just lost because they just, they just like lost this umbilical cord of creativity from their childhood, and they can't sort of find it. They just lost. And maybe just the best idea, do not force on your child, for example, to become an accountant, to become a lawyer, because they will have a definite constant income in this world. But maybe just let their creativity flow, let their ideas flow, and look if they will be able to find themselves, because it is important, because we've got enough of people who do nuts and bolts in a society. Because I think you probably should do not look from point of view of money, finances, money, like it's so good. Because like every time, like we live not too far from university, and every time I see the student and ask what actually you study, and they say in finances, they say in business, they say in lawyer, and
Marketing.
Marketing. Yeah, this is the favorite one, is the marketing. But you see, maybe just do not push your child, because it's like the most of the time, like I can see, like, I've spoken to somebody, they said, oh look, I'm a lawyer. I said, look, what did you finish? Oh, I'm a lawyer. I just finished for my parents. They wanted me to be a lawyer, and I finished for them. Now I'm doing something else, whatever I love. It's everything always what my parents wanted to, and of course after
first of all, you're pleasing your parents.
You're pleasing your parents. This is what you do.
And then you
Yes, and of course,
something for yourself.
Us to support Alita in a creative endeavor, like a painter, to become a painter, like she really wants to now become a painter, like she is a painter already, like a accomplished painter. This is just pretty much for all another parents are just suicidal. They will think, what are you thinking? Because like she's going to be, it's a struggle. It's constant struggle. Become a painter. And I think...
but what about the other side of it? What about all the infinite number of ways that the brain might be developing completely new connections that will actually affect and influence whatever career you choose in the future, which may have nothing to do in and of itself with art, but the fact that you have developed all those connections and learned all of those other impulses and everything, that is going to actually directly affect your career.
Well, this is just like science and art. It's just it's so close together. Science.
Well, anything you do might benefit actually from the free thoughtfulness that your brain has been encouraged and fostered to engage in your developing years. That can't be detrimental. It can only be beneficial. I can't see how it's not going to help, because as you said, you need both sides to come together. I mean, I know they talk about the two different sort of hemispheres of the brain being involved in one is a more sort of scientific side, the other one is more artistic, and I won't even get into the whole neurology of it. But surely I would have thought that on a fundamental level, it's only going to be of benefit to a person if you develop all of those free thinking, stream of consciousness, more abstract thought processes. That's going to surely be of benefit in whatever you do in your life. It can't be helpful to constrict that. I just can't believe that would be helpful to you.
I totally agree because was always my question about.
And that's even if you don't pursue art. Let's just say you have nothing to do with art. But I could imagine all those artistic impulses
because music,
is going to help
improvisation,
science.
it's all the same. Like you really have to be creative to be able to be creative in science as well. Even science is like the.
I don't think musicians are encouraged enough. I don't think classical musicians are encouraged to be improvisers. They're more conditioned and
because
prescribed.
you see, like I was so upset when I was a little kid because you see, like I never could improvise, and I was like really upset about it, and I felt.
But you know that when Mozart wrote down music, he actually left certain sections empty. Right, deliberately to allow, and this
But
would
could
be
you believe
heresy.
it, like-
This would be hang on. This would be heresy if in a concert hall you go to Mozart and God forbid the musician starts to improvise. But how dare you? Because Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, they are all set in concrete. That you do
and
not
also, like, it's really
bring
interesting
any of
because
your natural improvisation. But the thing is that Mozart actually left sections completely empty, free of he didn't have any notes written down because he was expecting the musician, the soloist, to actually improvise. So he expected improvisation.
I had like constantly like issues with my education in Russia because I finished musical school. As a pianist, and
but you're singing folk now.
Musical college. One second, I finished musical college. It's pretty much from the age of 7, I started doing the music because this is why my dream was Aelita to become a singer, and she actually does pursue it also now, and she does pursue it through the sound paintings right now, which is wonderful. I didn't realize it's gonna go totally different way because you see, like Aelita she constantly improvises when she paints. She improvises with the names. She improvises constantly. Like it's all the improvisational part concerned, and for example, with me, I was really forced to play like my professors thought how Beethoven has to be played, how Mozart has to be played. Should be this way.
But
Rachmaninoff would have played that well, and Chopin would have played this way. And you've got the two different schools, Moscow school and St. Petersburg school, which way you can play, which way you cannot play.
So they just expected
and it's all
you
the
to
politics of this, and you have to fit in. And it's really interesting because I was always like playing because, they always put metronome in front of you and you have to make sure you go into this metronome. It has to be absolutely direct and exact. And I never could do that because I was thinking, okay, I'm playing Rachmaninoff really emotionally. How can I fit in this regimented metronomic way?
They expected you to be quantized.
Oh, yeah, I have to be. But I can't be quantized because I've got the feelings and I want to put my feelings into this piece of incredible music. And it's really interesting because before I will forget this thought, because Aelita was taught to play classical violin, and she went straight away rebellious against it. She says, why should I play music of dead composers? Why should I? All these questions immediately ask. I don't want to play violin like this. She just when she was 6, she stuck violin on a canvas. She says, this is best way to play the violin, more comfortable way.
We're not advocating that everyone in the world
no.
But
I understand. But I wish. Because look,
I
Aelita gets criticism for lots of things as well because she does something new. People not used to it, and she applies it all differently. How it suits her, it doesn't suit anybody else. But for example, as far as the classical training concerned, but it does not hurt to maybe go to all the traditions and teach your students improvisation. How important it is. I never taught improvisation. I always was relying. They were saying, well, you've got 6 months to learn Rachmaninoff from A to Z, and you have to play it this way.
All about
you have
rote.
to do it that way.
Rote,
exactly.
rote
But you see,
learning,
like then I felt
school.
so confused because I never had a perfect pitch, and I really felt it like I really felt like I'm. no perfect pitch. It's really difficult, especially like when you start like on a string instruments, like it's quite develops your perfect pitch. And when you're doing the piano, I found it so difficult, like and a lot of things I just couldn't hear it properly like I'm supposed to hear it.
Can I just say something though? I've just been thinking about an interesting point you made. Okay, Alita improvises whenever she paints. Like every painter, basically every visual artist is improvising. You're improvising, and the more abstract
like,
you
I
are,
can only
the
talk
more
about
you're
Aelita
improvising.
because I observe her and film her every time she paints.
Yeah, but you're improvising in the moment. Like that's the expectation. Now, but why is there a distinction between music and between the sound arts, if you like, between music and the visual arts? Why is there a distinction? So, in other words, if I perfectly play, any classical composer, I am lauded for that. I'm judged according to the ability to which I can reproduce that as accurately as possible, my status depends on that. But in the visual arts, if you were to do exactly the same thing, you would be derided and criticized for plagiarism. Imagine if an artist could perfectly copy the Mona Lisa, for example, or Weeping Woman of Picasso, or whatever, any.
It's a value of art.
So why is there a distinction? You're not valued at all. You're meant to be original. So why is originality?
But you see, like in classical music as well, like depends how well you played.
Why wouldn't a person?
So
when
many
a person,
qualities
why is
of
it when
your
a person?
Performance.
But if a person plays a classical piece of music, why don't people criticize that person and say, "Oh, what are you doing? You're just playing you're just playing that Beethoven piece. Where's your music? I want to hear what you can do. You're just playing Beethoven." People don't talk like that. But with painting, they talk like that. You're just copying that. You're just copying that. Why the difference?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to understand the difference.
Well, it's true
Why?
because you see, for example, if you're playing Beethoven and playing exceptionally well.
If I paint the Mona Lisa exceptionally well, why won't I be praised?
Well, you're not original because you see, like it's all about originality.
No, but neither are you with Beethoven and Bach. You're not original. That's just their stuff.
Well, you're just a pianist, a concert pianist who plays.
I'm just trying to understand the difference. I'm not trying to criticize a great pianist.
To play top 40 composers from past centuries.
Okay. I put together a band, I put together a band and play Queen perfectly. Mm-hmm. I sound like Freddie Mercury to an uncanny extent. Mm-hmm. I'm still a cover band. Nobody's going to praise me and say, "My gosh, this is equal or better than Queen."
No, they won't say that, no.
No, why will Queen or Freddie Mercury or whatever band, it doesn't matter what, Metallica, anybody, why will they held up? They are held up in their unique position, and everyone else who comes after is mimicking.
Anybody has ideas?
No, I'm just curious. Why?
Well, I don't know. How can
Why?
I know? I don't know. Anybody can answer to us this question.
But you go to some sort of visual arts institute, and you're meant to be sort of copying stuff directly, and the more accurately you
but
copy
this is how the
I don't know. I'm just trying to work out why.
Told,
why the difference?
By teachers, we've been told because they originated to, for example, to paint kings and queens and royalties. They're craftsmen. They're not artists. But you see, now, like earlier, it was a craftsmanship. This is it. We're talking about artistic.
That's your
endeavor.
Value judgment. Hang on, that's
it's
your
their
value
judgment. This is what they told me. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but that's theirs. That's their opinion. It might be a brilliant painting.
I understand, but
the Mona Lisa might be a brilliant painting, right? And you might have brilliant paintings of kings and queens, but that artwork exists completely separately to the person that you're painting. That becomes an entity in itself, which you judge, and which is perfect. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's fine. In principle, that's fine, right? So what's the problem with that?
No problem at all.
Oh, so what were you saying?
Well, just if I think if anybody can
Because you were
engage with
saying
us in our
you
conversation, would
you
be wonderful. I
no,
think
but
we.
you were criticizing. You were criticizing people. Oh, they're just the institute in Russia just teaches them to
No,
mimic
I didn't criticize it. This is what they said. They said they simply
producing craftsmen, like at some
craftsmen.
low level.
It's not
like,
a low level. We think like this now. This is low level. This is what we think now.
Ah, okay.
No,
okay,
it's
okay.
not a criticism. They're wonderful, wonderful
Ah,
artists.
right. Oh,
But
okay.
they
okay.
need sort of have a distinguish between artist and a craftsmanship. Like
So an artist is more of an embodiment of originality,
yes,
rather than
because
the,
it's
the
nothing wrong
craftsman.
to be, because you see lots of musicians, they craft like they incredibly with in their craft. But it's not like they're taken to another level, like a Queen, for example. It's not that, because you see, like you have to.
Oh, the band Queen.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking of royalty
No,
Queen
no.
band.
I'm
the
talking
band.
about
Yeah, because
band.
yeah. I gotcha.
But this
Yep.
this is what it is, because there's nothing wrong with craftsmanship. Because, for
Sure,
example, they were saying they had like architects. They just it's nothing wrong with that, because you've got only like maybe just 10% of architects who are architects. The rest of them they're craftsmen. But it's nothing
But that's
wrong
any
with
field,
that.
isn't that? Any field.
Any field as well, but
only
there's
the top
nothing wrong with
percentage.
that. I can't see anything wrong with that. Like for you to really know your craft.
No, I was just making the distinction.
No,
There's a clear
It's
distinction
not
between
like,
the
because
expectations.
you see, I think now we've got some negative connotation, because it's like probably grown up like line on top layer. From point of view, it started as a craft academy, like craftsmanship, and then it become like art. Now it's like a high art, because you see, I think we just put in so
No,
much
because
in our
artists
society.
earlier would always work off commissions.
Yes, this is
there
how
wasn't
it was.
this sense of I'm going to be this
And whoever better
original
in their
artist.
craft,
Yeah,
this is who
yeah.
was getting a commission. Oh,
Right,
sorry.
right.
Whoever was
right.
better at their craft, this is who were getting a
Which
commission.
we call great art now, and it hangs in galleries and
Yes.
everything, and so it should. I mean, of course,
Exactly,
it's
but
brilliant,
now like we're thinking
there's a
about
different
high
understanding.
art, and I think it's just so amazing, because if you look at it, like I just didn't even think about it now. I only now realize it. They just like we've got now different spin in our society on the artist, because when we talk about artist, we don't talk about craftsmanship. We don't talk about craftsmen. We talk about something high.
Well, you do. You talk about no. Well,
No,
you can.
yeah,
There is a
yes.
craftsman component of the execution has to be with great skill.
Oh, yes,
and that
yes, yes,
skill
yes.
can be judged if it's figurative. But obviously, the more abstract you go,
Yeah, it's also like
the
you have
less-
to. No, with abstract is a. I just observe daily and I look at everything. It just looks like like everything
can't
sort of
objectively.
everything sort of really
Can you
really amazing.
objectively?
It's like whatever like you're good at, it looks so easy.
But you're
But
relying
you
more
try
on
to do it, it's not easy at all.
No, I didn't say
No.
that. I didn't say that. But I just thought that the more abstract you create something, whether it's in music or painting, the further away you get from objective judgments.
But you see, like,
I mean,
because
you can look at
earlier I
Aelita.
thought, like, for example, I thought like this as well earlier. But you see, like, any abstract artist will tell you how difficult it is to create abstraction. It's very, very difficult.
No, I'm not talking about difficulty level. I'm talking about
you
the
have to be
aesthetic
skilled.
judgments.
You have to be
The
skilled
more
as well.
variations there'll be.
You have to be skilled, but
the
exactly
more diverging
because
opinions you'll have about
For
it.
example, if you've got realistic art, you can manage it. You can. No, I will change this. No, I will do this. I will put it on top of this and on the top of layer on top of paint. But like with abstract art, it's very difficult to redo your work, or like it's you have to be very skilled
And
skilled
forge. It'd be probably impossible to forge.
impossible to forge, but it
because
has to be. You have to be very, very skilled to actually come up with this first time, without like just thinking, oh, better fix up this. Oh, it doesn't work. Nose is not exactly correct shape. Hands are not exactly right way. But you see, with abstraction, it's just really hard, because you can't go around with a razor blade or whatever it is.
you can,
And
if that's the style of your art. But if it's not, then you're introducing a foreign technique.
Abstraction is all like on emotion and on your skill. Relied on emotion and a skill.
Yeah, but it's a different type of skill. It's not the conventional narrow understanding of skill as the accuracy of representation of an object, of a recognizable object in reality, because obviously abstract is completely removed from that. But the other thing, and this actually, it's actually interesting you brought that up, and I don't know, maybe this is another podcast. I think we'll probably wrap that up for today.
Thank you for listening.